Yeah, so how we'll do this is the theme of our time is better together. You all heard Tope's message, and Tope's gonna go first. So you just have an opportunity to ask him any questions you might have after hearing his message. Yeah, so I'll just open up the floor and let you kind of think about some things you'd like to ask him.
Well, first, I don't really have a question at this point. I do have some words of affirmation and celebration. Pastor Tope and Father Boyle, I've listened to both your messages on my morning meditation, my morning walks, and at at every quarter mile or so, I just stopped and I was just overwhelmed by the presence of the Lord in your proclamation. Um, I was really first stopped, Pastor Tobe, when you said it only takes one generation to lose a nation. And the weight, the magnitude of that stopped me cold in my tracks. So thank you for really laying that out so well. The severity of the conditions we are living under. And then that was punctuated, Father Boyle, as you talked about our call to move to the margins until the margins disappear. And there are so many generations on the margin right now. Um, I just want to honor the way you've poured your life out, holding your spot on the wall. I just think about the work that Nehemiah and his chorus of rebuilders did when they were rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. They were not dissolving the margin, they were fortifying the walls to protect. But it's similar to what you're doing through Homeboys Industries and um, rebuilding, recreating places for the disenfranchised to live fully. So I just want to start by honoring that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really encouraging. And but the whole standing on the margins till the margins disappear was very stunning to me, and just very powerful. Never heard it said like that before. And I think the experience of Father Ball comes through in the words, so it's really weighty and authentic. Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't want to fangirl, but I'm like a really big fan of Father Gregory. I've been acting real cool, see, I was acting really calm and collected, but I wanted you to know that I first came into touch with your work while I was on staff doing ministry in the projects. That's where I've spent majority of my time doing ministry in the projects in Brooklyn and the largest housing projects in Brooklyn. And when I first got your book, Tattoos on the Heart, it was the first time I read a book that from someone who really intricately understood what the experiences are of the people, the young people that I love and work with, and the devastating poverty and violence that afflicts them, has affected their lives, and then it affects the entire everything that's happening around them. And it's a very hard work to do, to love those affected by such devastating experiences in life, and then to have the courage to show up to the field again to remind them that you are God's beloved, and that you belong, and I'm, and I get to be a part of hearing God say that to me too as I do it. And so I just wanted to let you know that your work, both books and a lot of the things that I watch, your talks and all that stuff, has had an incredible impact, and I really believe that God has used you powerfully in my life and in the lives of so many people.
It's great. It's encouraging.
Pastor Tope, one of the things that you mentioned was about through different generations building community. Can you speak on what community could look like through three different generations? I know when I hear my parents talk, they talk about how on the neighborhood, like other parents was able to talk to different kids and correct them because of the trust of or the closeness of the neighborhood. And then from my generation, parents were probably less trustworthy with other parents correcting their children. Can you speak about like maybe the different dynamics through what community could look like through different generations?
Yeah, that's a great question because you're right. When I grew up, also in the context, particularly that I grew up in Nigeria, honestly, the neighbors, just thought they saw themselves as your parents, and so they corrected you, they told you, and you saw them as rightfully they had the authority to do that. Well, all of that is just gone, except for one place where it should never be gone is the church. The church is the place where there needs to be that camaraderie, community, oneness. And so what does it look like? I think it looks like all of us, because we all bow down at the feet of Jesus and we take on the values and the way of life of Christ, that therefore out of love, we lovingly correct each other, first of all, the parent, and then each other's children, but in a real loving way, in a Christ-centered and encouraging way, not a condemning way. Just condemnation wrecks everything every time. It just does. So I think that's one way. We have here in our church here, young, a dad's group where the dads meet together, but then all the kids that do not have dads, and we find very clever ways of involving them and taking them out and doing certain things, And this wasn't started by me at all. It started by so many in the church. They just saw the need and they just got on board. And so I think community becomes very multidimensional, and it need not be complex. It's about loving people, meeting their needs. Loving people, meeting needs. And if you can see a need, you've probably got some part to play to bring solution to it. And then just slowly build it up. And so I think it looks like that. I don't think it need be too profound. And if the world can see what it looks like in the church, I think it will be so powerful. So much so that I actually think evangelism in 21st century in these days becomes much more. You see somebody at work say they're having a problem with their son, and you say, oh, it's funny you say that, because there's this group in our church that and with baby steps, invite them to just be a part of a group, of a community, so that evangelism become very a community activity in so many ways. So I think that's basically what it looks like. Here at Jubilee, we're making it up all the time. And I think that's a good thing. Because we live, especially in the West, everything is so logically calibrated to an nth degree, and it becomes inauthentic.
Pastor Tope, I have a quick question for you. There was a quote you said. You were saying that if we don't pass or challenge others with God in the next generation, even if we did good things, no matter what we did, it will not be a good story. And I wrote that down because I thought about a lot of us on this call, we lead teams, and what does that look like to lead a team, to understand that it's not just about the work, the things that we're doing, but if we're not passing it forward, it's not going to be a good story. How do we lead our teams in a way that they can kind of grab hold of that truth and that understanding, that it's not just about what we're doing, but also we're moving forward for the next generation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I ask myself that a lot and all the time, and therefore I think I try to take personal responsibility for that. And I think it has to do with me helping people see that what we do now has eternal value. It has eternal value. It's not just for this moment, because after a while, no matter how good it is, you'll probably get tired or exhausted or burnt out or something. But if you can keep seeing the eternal value in what you're doing, no matter how small it is, that's an amazing thing. Now, it gets harder and harder in the world in which we live because everybody wants something so dramatic, so big. They want the change to be so sudden and all of that. And life just doesn't go that way for the most part. So I think you're right. I try to let people know, I try to be as open as I honestly can in any circle I'm in with my own team. And I just refuse to let the agenda keep ruling everything. So I'll open up about what happened yesterday, what I got wrong, whatever it is. I think it creates this kind of beautiful glue that brings us all together and helps us then see, but you know what? We were not called because we were perfect. We were called because we were imperfect to do a perfect work for a perfect God. And today counts, tomorrow counts. Let's go again. So I think it's those kinds of things really that I think about a lot. I try to just encourage them to see this has eternal value. Just reading today, my Bible, I'm preaching on Sunday, I'm looking through some things. And I'm trying to teach about the humanity of Jesus, how just very, very human. Most Christians don't like to think about the humanity of Jesus very much. We prefer the spiritual things. But he was very, very, he was, 100% human, 100% God, both natures. You get it. Now, but the thing about all of that is that he chose strange people to be in his genealogy. People that he's the only one that could have he's the only one that could have chosen people in his genealogy. And he chose people that you think, well, this is just, I wouldn't have done that, Jesus. But he did. And now today, I'm reading and studying and thanking God for each of these lives. In other words, it had eternal value. And so today here we are talking about it. So I think I just try to encourage people about eternity, eternal value in light of today. Advance the kingdom one little step if you can.
Thank you, Pastor Tope. I know that you have to leave a little bit early, so I'm going to actually say thank you so much for being with us today and for passing the baton or baton, how y'all saying it over there in England. And you know what I'm saying? We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It's just great to be with you all. I look forward to listening to a lot more of Father Boyle. I learned so much. Just to say, Genevieve, Genevieve, I never knew you could be this calm.
You what?
I didn't know you could be this calm.
This calm? I'm trying my best. I'm really I have to simmer down. I had to simmer down. Okay, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay.